During Small Business Week here on the Q&A, we are sharing the stories of business owners fighting to keep their businesses alive during the crisis. And some of the stories that we've shared have been hard to hear, others inspiring. Well, Ashley Allen was asking this question on Twitter. What about the businesses that are thriving through all of this? Well, here's a list. It's important that we point out that every sector is being challenged in some way. An industry may have high demand but issues with their workforce or vice versa. Here are 3 industries doing reasonably well during the pandemic. Gaming and puzzle makers. The president of Seco, one of the largest jigsaw puzzle manufacturers in the country, told NPR sales in March were up 300%. With so many people at home, they need a little entertainment. Second, grocery delivery services. More people are looking for safe ways to shop, maintain their social distance, and have limited contact. Companies like Instacart say demand has surged 150%. They're trying to hire an additional 300,000 workers to double its workforce. Number 3, commercial cleaning services. Some are also seeing higher demand during the crisis. We spoke with Tom Sullivan. He's vice president of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. He explained why some businesses are doing okay and others are struggling.
2 things. So one is whether or not there's an absolute prohibition on their business model. You can't innovate out of that. The ones who are innovating their way out, what we find most is that they are benefiting from the networks that have developed more than anyone else.
And there you go, Ashley. We found 3 industries that are weathering the pandemic.